as India's is not something that we can take as seriously as the myths, the legends, the mythologies, the stories from people, folk tales, and the word of people, itihasa, as it happened. This is the essence of the peninsula as well as of the vastness of the Gangetic Basin itself. When you sit in a temple such as this one, which goes back to about 3,000 years, no more than about 2 hours northeast of Bangalore, you see the sense of not one Vepakshi as a temple, but of the quintessence of Shiva in all his Virat Rupas across India. You at once think of the Panchabhutas and the elements that he has manifested in different places. You think of Somnath, you think of course, Varanasi and the complexities of that one region and the Panchakroshis. If ever you come to realize God or the vision of God, it has to be through trees, birds, the dust and the soil. It has to be that you can feel His touch. When you look at a temple such as this one, and the sheer marvel of all such temples in India, where every single column is different from the other, where the roofs carry pigmented dyes which are vegetable-based and have survived and lasted 600 to 800 years, from 1336 to about 1595. The Vijayanagara kings added to this temple. Their understanding, therefore, of these myths of Shiva, of Daksha, of Sati, and of all the complexities of Indian religion, and this is not a story where we capture that part of India's consciousness. You see then what we have lost in perhaps the last 50 to 100 years. There was something that as a race and as cultures of kingdoms, they protected and nurtured. And in turn, those stories and those myths protected these kings and their subjects. I must say that Shiva and his 5 faces is a common way of speaking of his presence for all people in India over all time. He's present in the 5 elements: Jalavayu, Agni, Akasha, and Prithvi. And he's found in different manifest forms, therefore, in many such temples, particularly in the south of the Godavari. He is 5 faces of creating, sustaining, destroying, as Veerabhadra is at Vepakshi, surprising and transcending. Na, ma, shi, pa, ya, as 5 forms again, or the simple and the most ancient of sounds. Om has a, u, ma, the nasal sound, and of course silence. This is the story that I am seeking to capture of not history, but of a people's consciousness which goes back about 5,000 to 6,000 years. Seen in the larger geological context, it's just a flash of time. But what India has stood for and can hopefully stand for into the next 200, 300 years of our civilization as we battle to get off the precipice, the brink of ecological Armageddon, is something I hope is a lesson that the rest of the world will learn. India has often been reckoned to be the spiritual capital of the world. And it's not for no unfounded reason. There is in India an imagined landscape, a certain sacred geography which surpasses and transcends all that you see as maps and distances between places and locations. This imagined geography that goes back to the Puranas particularly, and of the fount of knowledge that the Vedas represented and then the Upanishads represented over those 2,000 years before Christ, is, I think, something that the world needs to capture, humanity needs to see and understand from. Let's see how this journey goes as we travel to other parts of this country which connect to these latitudes and longitudes which are and have been as sacrosanct and sacred for those people who first formed the fount of such thought.